What's up, BookTube? Sandy Golson back here. It's been a few weeks since I've had a chance to film a video. Had a lot of stuff going on, but I'm looking to get back on track right here. Filming this October 2021 reading wrap up, and didn't get a lot of reading done in the month of October, but what I did get done, I was very happy about, and that I will talk about next. So first up, as I talk about the books that I read, I'm actually going to go nonfiction and then fiction, because two of the books I read were nonfiction and two of the books I read were fiction books. And so I want to talk about the two nonfiction books first. And this is an author that I've read numerous times before. I've read almost all of this author's books. And this author really focuses on professional development, how to deal with workplace situations, how to help you to become the best version of yourself as a leader, as an employee, in a variety of different ways, how to be more efficient and how to be more effective. And that author is Patrick Lencioni. And so I have two books that I've read from Patrick Lencioni. And the first one I want to talk about is called The Motive. And Patrick Lencioni books, what he does is he starts with a fable, so a fiction story that helps you to visualize it through the experience of the characters that he develops in the fable part at the beginning of the book. And then in the back half of the book, or the back part of the book, the second part of the book, is a nonfiction book that kind of tells you in the more traditional sense about the topic at hand. So The Motive, it really discusses a leader of an organization, a company, a CEO, and he is struggling with his company, and he ironically turns to a rival CEO, and that helps him to kind of figure out what motivates him and how he can motivate others around him. And so it was really an interesting story, and it's always interesting reading Patrick Lencioni books because of the way that he does this type of book. And so I'm definitely interested in reading more of his books as they come out. Next up is The 5 Temptations of a CEO. And this one is interesting because it talks about being in leadership and the 5 things, the temptations that we gravitate toward that can really just kind of untie us and really bog us down. And so it was really interesting to read through this and to see a lot of things that I see in myself, that I see in other people. And so it was really enlightening. And of course, the fable in the beginning was very interesting, helped me really get into the topic. And these books, both this one, The 5 Temptations of a CEO, and The Motive, these are books that are pretty much designed that you can sit down and you read it in one sitting. And actually with both of these books, that's pretty much what I did. So yeah, so really excited about these two books and getting back into some sort of professional development through these Patrick Lencioni books. Next up, I return to an author that I've read once before, and I read No Exit by Taylor Adams. And so I really enjoyed No Exit. It was a very interesting story with a kind of a closed circle thing going on in a murder mystery, kind of the traditional type of mystery. I shouldn't say murder mystery, a mystery that was going on. And so I was very excited to read that book. And as I read that book, I started thinking, as I do many times when I read an author for the first time, is this an author that I'm going to read more books from, that I'm going to want to read more books from? And with Taylor Adams, I decided yes. And then comes Hairpin Bridge. And so this is kind of a sister story of an incident that happens that leads to the death of one sister, and the other decides to go and investigate it and try to get to the bottom of what happened. And so it takes kind of the twists and turns that you would expect it to take. That was very interesting, and at times it maybe dragged just a little bit at times, but it was a very interesting read. I liked it. I was hooked on it from start to finish, and there were stretches where I just could not stop. And for anybody that really knows me, I'm always multitasking, doing so many different things, and so it's kind of hard for me to sit down and read a book in one sitting if it's a traditional novel length story like Hairpin Bridge. But this was very good. I really enjoyed the kind of the highs and lows of the investigation that's taking place, and the tense moments that take place in this book. Very good read. Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. Next up is In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola Akin Arkistram. This was an interesting book. When I picked it up, it's actually a Book of the Month selection. When I picked this book up, I didn't fully grasp that it was told from multiple perspectives. And so when I read books that are told from multiple perspectives and you're jumping back and forth between the different perspectives, those usually aren't my type of book because I usually get overly interested in one story that's being told. Even if the stories are kind of woven together and they make sense together, I always become less interested in either one or more of the other stories, the quote unquote other stories, as I focus in on one. And that was the case for me with this one. And so sections of the book kind of read slow for me, but it was an interesting story. And, it's a kind of a difficult story to read, a challenging story to read at times because of the subject matter. But at the same time, it was very interesting to see how things were going to turn out with the three main characters that it discusses. Well, four characters really, but multiple perspectives that it discusses. And so it was very interesting to read. I'm actually glad I read it. I read it relatively fast. And so that's usually a good sign for me. So In Every Mirror, She's Black. So that's my reading wrap up for the month of October 2021. It was a relatively short month of reading, but yet it was a good month of reading for me. Some good nonfiction books that I was able to read for professional development type purposes and for entertainment, and a couple of interesting novels to read as well.